harmonize, but oh, how we could harmonize. Heart of my heart, and friends were dearer then. Too bad we had to part. I know a tear would glisten if once more I could listen to that feeling that sang heart of my heart. Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny, but we'll travel along singing our songs side by side. We don't know.
Well, good morning. This is Mike Tillerson at the Senior Empower Day. Findings Slots for Seniors, Thursday, September 21, 2017, Little River Casino Resort.
Excuse me, captioned telephone. Did anyone see that booth out there? Should be interesting to take a look at, see if that's something of interest. Walmart is also one of our sponsors. And ARP. I think that's fantastic that they have jumped into the fray with us. That's a huge help, having them participate. There's also Antrim County COA, Benzie Senior Resources, Carroll Court in memory of majors, Clear Captions, FCEC, Kalkaska COA, my friends out there, Jody, Misaki COA, I know I just saw her, Natalie. Natalie played a huge role in this program and just did a beautiful job. Munson Home Care, West Shore Bank, Wexford COA, I got my buddies there too, Team Bob's. So a lot of great sponsors, if we could give them a hand. And your support of these businesses means that they are able to support events like this and make it possible for us to enjoy this packed day of information, great food, and for $10. I mean, I think that's pretty incredible. So, and they didn't even give me a discount, and I was going to have to hold the mic. I was good with that. Just kidding. So I am with Hospice of Michigan. I am a paid professional pest, and I'm very proud of that. And my job today is to aggravate y'all and to keep things rolling. But I am going to share a couple more things. In this packet, there is a questionnaire, and I'm going to remind you to complete this. So as you're going through listening to the speakers, take the time to make some notes. You've all got a pen. If not, I see some that we can grab. There's this slip here. We'd like you to include any questions that pop up throughout the day. Make a note of those questions so we can make sure they're addressed, okay? And just a thought out of kindness for our speakers and the rest of the people that are in the room, take your phone and turn it so that it just vibrates. If you could do that, I think it would be a real kindness to the people around you. I know we've all got things happening. Where you are is where you need to be, and that'll allow you to really enjoy today's event. So thank you. Did Traverse City arrive? Yay! Oh, that's great though. We're glad you're here. Thank you. You have to do the dishes though. We voted while you were gone. So you guys have got table cleanup. So it'll be good though. You'll enjoy it. And I'm going to give the mic over. They're still coming in the room, so I'm going to wait just a minute, Sharon, if that's okay. I think everybody's being real gracious with us. But let's give them a chance to get a cup of coffee, shut off their phones, and take a look at their packets and so forth. Make yourself at home. The beautiful thing this year is we're not going anywhere for lunch besides right there. So that's going to be a real nice thing. Makes it easy for all of us. Can you all hear me? Do you want me to stand on a table? It won't be pretty, but I can do it. All right, I'm not going to do that. But once we get the stage cleared after our next speaker, then we'll be able to to work from the stage, it'll be a little easier, but hopefully you can see me. I'm hard to miss. So, thank you. Traverse City, we're glad you're here. Yeah, you're showstoppers. You stopped the show. We wanted to wait for you because you're too important to us.
We were in Benzie. Yeah. We went through order.
The honor of being chair of the Board of Advisors of the Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan. An agency that I'm very proud and humbled to be a part of, along with several other members. I'd like to take a few minutes to identify these people. I've seen a lot of them in the room. I'd like them to stand when I read their names, and then would you hold any applause for these individuals until after I've introduced everybody. From Antrim County, Ray Mills. From Benzie County, Doug Duran. Charlevoix County is Shirlene Tripp. I haven't seen Shirlene, so oh, there she is. Hi there. From Emmett County, Louis and Sue Fantini. I know Sue's here. Way in the back. Grand Traverse County, Russ Marshall.
Way in the back.
Is he back there too? Okay, Russ. Kalkaska County, Carol Court. Leelanau County, Meredith Goodrich. Meredith, I know you're here. There you are. And from also Gwen Algair. I know I'm going to murder that name. I think Gwen's in the back too. Manistee County, Robert Daniels. Missaukee County, Pam Nieborowski and Natalie Davis. Wexford County, Eleanor Sosinko. I know Eleanor could not be with us today, nor I don't think Nancy is here. Nancy Shoup, and then myself. Let's give these people a huge thank you. Of those individuals, Ray and Russ and Robert Daniels and Pam and Natalie and Eleanor and myself, we did work on the steering committee planning this event. We enjoy putting this on for you. This is the second annual Resurrected Senior Empower Day. Some of you may remember when it was in existence several years ago, and I believe in either 2011 or 2012 was the last event. And then last year, we brought it back here. We believe we have sold out this event at this facility with 250 people registrations. They may not all be here, but at least they have indicated that they would attend. As our MC has indicated to you today, we believe we have a very powerful program for you. We really owe a huge debt of thank you to Margot. And for those of you who may not be that familiar with Miss Margot, she was the Volunteer of the Year in Missaukee County a couple of years ago, and she was also the Volunteer of the Week for My News 26. So we have a celebrity in our presence. And we thank her for doing this, and of course she does this for us for free gratis, and we really appreciate that. With that, we're going to try to stay on time, and I'm going to turn it back over to Margot because my watch tells me it's a little after 10:15. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we're going to get started, and we are so blessed to have an incredible speaker. Her bio is in your folder. Our next speaker is going to be Jo Murphy. She's the Executive Director of MMAP, the Medicare Medicaid program. Are you all familiar with that? And if you're not, That is a powerful program that has changed so much for so many people. And I don't know if Shannon and some of the others that are powerful MAP coordinators in the COA offices, but they are life-changing for so many individuals. So I'm very pleased to have Jo here today to present. So Jo, give her a hand, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I have to get all this electronic equipment ready here. There's a podium up there in the dark. I'd rather be a little closer to you, so I'm going to stand down here on the floor, because that's how MAP is. We want to be close to people. Before I start going through the PowerPoint, and I'll just give you a heads up, the PowerPoint that you're going to see is from CMS, that's the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That's the part of Health and Human Services at the federal level that creates and oversees the Medicare program. And the PowerPoint's pretty technical, and there's a lot of things in there that actually apply more to the providers that you see that provide you service than to you specifically. So we're not going to dwell on every slide because there's, I think, 53 of them, and I don't have that much time. I want to begin by telling you that I worked for Senior Neighbors in Grand Rapids about 22 or 25 years ago, which is very much like a COA, or they do have senior centers. It's because it's in Kent County, they don't just have one commission on aging, their system's a little different. From there, I went to the Area Agency on Aging, Region 8, which is based in Grand Rapids. And I was there for 10 years. And maybe a year into my job, someone left and they came to me and said, "You're the MAP coordinator." I'm going, okay, what is MAP? The Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program has been around for many, many years. We started in Michigan prior to the federal government having these programs. Now at the federal level, they're called SHIPs, State Health Insurance Assistance Programs. And so in the big budget, we're under ACL, the Administration for Community Living, which oversees the Older American Act. And our organization runs on federal grants. Our biggest grant is our SHIP grant. And then we have some smaller grants for Michigan, My Health Link, which does not cover this area, so I don't have to tell you about that. MIPA, that is Medicare Improvement Patient and Provider Act. Lots of acronyms in this world. And that is basically the program that helps people get signed up for low-income subsidy, which helps them pay for prescription costs on under Medicare Part D, and also Medicare Savings Program, which is actually part of Medicaid, which gets people's Part B, premium paid for them. And we're very lucky that we have that grant. We have a purchase a service pool. Typically, all of the MAP services, I contract with the AAAs to make sure the whole state is covered. But with the MEPA money, I'm able to set up a pool where some of the commissions on aging, all different organizations can participate. And so we pay them for each enrollment that they do. So there's good incentive for them to go out and find people financial assistance. So we're blessed to have that. We also had a very small subsidy last year from the Michigan Health Endowment Foundation to help people when Blue Cross changed. They actually changed prior to the Affordable Care Act because they wanted to compete in the marketplace, but that was phased in. But last year is when people really got that first bill that showed what was going to happen when Blue Cross was no longer our insurer of last resort. And that was quite a year for people. I know premiums went up here a lot, but if you lived in the Detroit area, they went up even more. So, unfortunately, some people just were priced out of that market last year, and they moved to Medicare Advantage plans, which is the alternative to original Medicare, which usually people have a supplemental plan with, which would be Blue Cross C, and then a D-Dog drug plan. So we are a nonprofit, 501c3. All these federal grants, well, part of the federal grants come to the state of Michigan and then come to MAP, which is a 501c3. There's a couple we get directly from the federal government. Like I said, the way we reach the whole state is by contracting with area agencies on aging. We couldn't run this program without them. And as I mentioned, we started before the federal program started. This program started in Michigan with a effort by AARP, who had this idea for a volunteer plan to help people understand insurance. And Blue Cross contributed some money, and Office of Service to Aging got involved. Later, the federal government started, and there are 54 SHIP programs. That's all 50 states, DC, and the territories. And of those 54 programs, 2/3 of them are in the Department of Aging at the state level, and 1/3 are usually in the Department of Insurance. And Michigan is one of two, Missouri's the other one, who actually has a nonprofit run the program. The rest of the programs are part of state government. And I'm so thankful that Michigan decided to do the program this way, because we can move more quickly, we can get things done that when you're part of state government, it sometimes slows you down. So we're blessed here in Michigan that they decided to do the program that way. Before I leave today, I want to tell you a little story about funding, but I'm going to save that for the end. But I just want you to know that hopefully you all got a little blue brochure and a flyer that talks about the new Medicare card that's coming out. I want you to keep those. If you, at your Commission on Aging or Senior Center, need brochures to hand out to people, the Carrie at the Area Agency on Aging in Traverse City can get quantities of those, so let us know. Okay. Okay. Lessons. Okay, here are some names of some laws. For those of you who like to do research, so you can see where some of the new rules are coming from. Actually, when I got this PowerPoint from CMS, I had never even heard of the 21st Century Cures Act. The Medicare, the MACRA, which is the acronym up there, has been around since 2015 and pretty common. To be perfectly honest, the 21st Century Cures Act is primarily for the providers, whether it's doctors, hospitals, durable medical equipment providers, as new rules that really help Medicare save money so that the trust fund doesn't go broke. While I'm talking about money, I always liked to share something that not everyone knows. When you worked, you paid FICA, and that covers your Medicare Part A premium, which is your hospital benefit, so you don't pay any more for that. However, Part B is your medical benefit, and that's doctors, emergency room, all kinds of other things, basically anything except inpatient hospital. And right now, a lot of you probably are paying $109 a month if you've been in Medicare a while. People that came to Medicare this year are paying $134 a month, which I'm predicting everyone will be paying next year. But that Part B premium, when they added medical to Medicare, the Congress wanted people to think about and not just willy-nilly go to the doctor every time you had a hangnail. So it is set up that what you pay is actually 1/4 of the cost for that benefit. So in January, when you start paying $134 a month out of your Social Security check for Part B, that's 1/4 of the cost of that benefit. The other 3/4 of the cost of that benefit come out of the general fund in Washington. So everyone in the country is helping people on Medicare get that Part B premium. You paid for Part A when you were working, but Part B is something that everyone helps pay for. So as much as I hate paying my premium, I'm thankful for the premium because it could be a lot worse. It could be 4 times that amount. Okay. Oops, wrong way. Okay. This improving local coverage and administrative contractors, all of this really applies to people who provide the services. So we're not going to look at that. We want to go on. Okay, this one, delay authorization to terminate contracts for Medicare Advantage plans. They had a rule, and if you remember when Part D dog started and Medicare finally covered prescriptions, because for years and years they didn't cover any, we got Medicare Advantage plans. This was an alternative to original Medicare. You can have original Medicare, or you can go to a private insurer to get your coverage. There was a rule that had been in place that if they were poor performing, CMS would basically throw them out of the program. Well, this gave them a little more time, so they have all of next year to improve their performance before they get thrown out. Welcome to Medicare package is basically something that Social Security does for new people. And the last one is basically open enrollment for everyone is October 7th through October 15th through December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. And in that period every year, we encourage you to go to a MAP counselor and let them review the plans for 2018. Because all of these plans change every year. A lot of people think just the premium changes, but it's far greater than that. Their formularies change and some of their rules change. So the program you had last year for your prescription coverage might have worked great, but that same plan next year might not cover the drugs you take or have prior authorization or something else that would not make that plan good for you. So that's why it's important you see a MAP counselor. Half of our MAP counselors are true volunteers, just like all of you. You have the possibility to be a MAP volunteer. We do training for people, so I want to throw a pitch out there for that. If you like to understand government regulations and help people, this is the perfect program. So this open enrollment allows you to select a plan. Then in January through March, just the last few years, they have allowed this other enrollment. So let's say you thought you would try a Medicare Advantage plan instead of original Medicare. And in January and February, you found out you weren't liking that Advantage plan. Well, you had January through the end of March to go back to original Medicare, and then you could get a prescription drug plan to go with that, or a supplemental plan, or whatever you chose. Now this expands it so that you could switch from one Medicare Advantage plan to another, which had not been an option before. The biggest thing on this slide is, and it's not even showing, is allowing people with end-stage renal disease to choose a Medicare Advantage plan beginning in 2021. That may not make much sense to you, but end-stage renal disease basically are people who are on dialysis or have had a kidney transplant generally, and they were not allowed into Medicare Advantage plans in the beginning. If you were in an Advantage plan and then you went on dialysis, you could stay there. But if you had it, you couldn't go to that plan. So beginning in 2021, people who have end-stage renal disease will be able to get a Medicare Advantage plan if they want one. Okay, this is MACRA, and this is really the biggest part of this that took place. And I don't know if you always remember, but you may have heard something about the doctor fix. A long time ago, 1997, Congress decided that, they wanted to save money, so they created this formula that was like every year going to pay the doctors less for serving Medicare beneficiaries. And so every year, the doctors started threatening that they would take Medicare patients, or they'd only keep the ones they have and not take any more. When MACRA legislation came into being, they did away with that formula. So that is really good news because we need all the doctors we can get serving people with Medicare. The rest of it is kind of bureaucratic things that are going to happen about how they report and what system they put the data in. Okay, we have some competitive business or competitive bidding. Used to be, if you got signed up with Medicare, you could sell durable medical equipment, do all kinds of things. Well, the costs were skyrocketing and it became a big area of fraud. So in certain areas, certain big cities, they only would allow some providers, and they had to turn in a prospective bid what they would charge. This just is getting expanded, which is good because we want to save Medicare money. And the only problem we've had is on occasion, people have not really known this, and the contractor, so your local oxygen company, may not have explained to you that they weren't part of competitive bidding, and if you lived in that area, well, you could use that provider, but Medicare wasn't going to pay for it. So this is kind of addressing that issue. The biggest thing on this slide, they have to have cute acronyms, is MOON, Medicare Outpatient Observation Notice. And I don't know, but I'll bet there's at least one or two people in this room who may have got a miss because when you went to the hospital, probably through the emergency room, you might have been dehydrated or something that got you to the emergency room. And so they evaluated you, and then they said, well, we're going to keep you all night and see how you do. And all night might turned into 2 or 3 days. And then they decided because you were deconditioned or you had gotten weak because of the pneumonia or dehydration or whatever happened to you, you needed to go to a skilled nursing facility for Medicare rehab. Okay, great. Medicare covers rehab totally for 20 days without any copays, and then some copays start. But lo and behold, the rules say that you had to be inpatient in the hospital. So even though you were in the hospital, you were in a hospital bed, you were probably in a hospital room, you were under observation. And so then your skilled benefit, nursing benefit, was not available to you. You would have to privately pay for it because you weren't inpatient. And the other thing that happened in these situations, because people were under observation, was that they always ask you for their drug list, and while they're there and they're observing you, they bring your pills to you. Well, because you're not admitted into the hospital, you're supposed to be taking your Part D drugs, the ones you have at home that you got through your pharmacy. Otherwise, you have to pay the hospital pharmacy, who probably does not participate with your plan, and you're going to have a huge drug bill. So the two things we really saw about people being under observation was not being able to get skilled rehab or costing them a fortune, and also big drug bills. So now Congress got an earful about that, and I don't know about you guys, but I know in Grand Rapids we have a group called Advocates for Senior Issues, and they even printed a brochure and talked to their elected officials, and all across the country they pretty much heard this is a problem. So that is good news that they now are required to give you a notice. When you go to the hospital as an inpatient, you get this notice that says your Medicare rights. Well, that really refers to supposedly they're going to discharge you and you and your doctor don't think you're ready, but the hospital wants you out. There's an organization that can evaluate that and make a decision. Now they also have to give this moon notice to people under observation so that you know your rights. I hate the bottom PowerPoint picks up. Okay, just to give you a big picture, this is by millions. So people who have Part A and or Part B is almost 58 million people in the country. Most people are aged 65 or older. And that's almost 49 million. We have 9 million that are on Medicare because of a disability. Original Medicare, almost 38 million in original Medicare. And now we have roughly 20 million in Medicare Advantage plans, or some employer retiree plan, which also counts for Medicare Part D. In Michigan, this is big to me. There are now 2 million people on Medicare. Michigan only has 10 million people. So 20%, or 1 in every 5 people in the state of Michigan has Medicare. And that's huge. And I mentioned the SHIP grant we get. That's our foundation grant. We actually receive $1.5 million a year for the whole state, which means when I contract with AAAs or we train people, whatever we do, we're getting paid about 75 cents per person per year to provide the service. So you know our volunteer program is pretty darn good if we can provide that service. I will admit not all 2 million people have called, thankfully, because we might not be able to do our job. Okay, this slide is more bureaucratic stuff on the top 2 bullets. The bottom one is really important. And this kind of takes me back to when we were talking about supplemental insurance. A lot of people in Michigan have Blue Cross C. If they didn't opt out because they couldn't afford it, they have that plan. Or if they wanted to buy the Cadillac plan, like I did, when I turned 65, I got Medicare, and I was still working, so I could afford it. I got a Plan F. Both of those plans cover our Part B deductible. So that medical insurance every year before Medicare starts paying, you have to pay a certain amount. Typically, that's one of the things that you buy supplemental insurance for, is to pay that Part B deductible. under this new act, starting in 2020, and this is another thought of Congress, that when people don't have any out-of-pocket costs because they have Medicare and they buy supplemental insurance, maybe they're overusing their health care. And so starting in 2020, anyone coming into the Medicare program will not be able to buy a supplemental insurance policy that covers the Part B deductible. It will be against the law to sell those policies anymore. So, well, that's too bad for those people. Well, it's too bad for some of us as well. We will be grandfathered in if we have the C or the F that pays our Part B deductible. But just like all insurances, Medigap insurance is based their costs on the insurance pool. Well, starting in 2020, if no younger, healthier people can get into the C or the F, you know that that insurance pool is just going to get older and sicker, and so the insurance companies will have to raise prices because they've got all these old sick people and no one new coming in. So I told my husband, I said, well, I don't know when it's going to happen, how old I'll be, because I have the F plan. Someday, when I retire from working and I'm on a fixed income, I may no longer be able to pay for my Medigap F. And a lot of people may no longer be able to pay for their Blue Cross C plan if they have it, because no one new and healthy is coming in. So at that point, once you're in Medicare, you know, when you first get in, you have 6 months, you can buy any Medigap you want. After that, you're subject to underwriting, and they can turn you down or they can charge you more. So my projection, not right away, but a few years down the road, people who have C and F plans, premiums will go up to the point that they'll probably be forced to go to a Medicare Advantage plan. Just because Medicare Advantage plans has to take anyone, anytime. So even if you're 85 and you're sick, if you couldn't get a different supplemental insurance plan, which is really possible you couldn't get one, then you will go to Medicare Advantage. So this is a big change. It's going to start in 2020. I don't think we'll see the repercussions right away, but just know that that's one of those things that are coming. Okay. On this CHIP reauthorization, that's the Children's Health Insurance Program. So really the only thing here is that starting in 2020, people will pay, so this is the people who have to pay more for their Part B premium than I would suspect all of us are paying. And that is because they have a very high income after they retire. So right now, now this is not money in the bank savings, this is annual income. So anybody with $85,000 or more in annual income after they retire pay more for their Part B boy and their Part D dog premiums. This was part of a law that passed a few years back, and they've pretty much held the same number for people's income, but they will start indexing that with the cost of living. And so right now, no, this doesn't show the new ones, but they will pay more. We don't have a lot of people that I see that come in that have that kind of income. Probably a lot of them have financial advisors, or they may not live in the area where I'm at. I actually live in Grand Rapids and work in Lansing. I do know the Detroit area have more people that pay that higher premium, and probably they're executives from General Motors or somewhere that have that kind of income after they retire, and they're going to have to pay a little more. Okay, this goes back to that thing that the plans will no longer cover the Part B deductible. So we've talked about that. We've talked about competitive bidding. We've talked about the observation notice. Okay. Current health. Okay, Medicare trust funds. Talked about that. This is pretty much for the providers, but they are doing some new rules for the Medicare Advantage plans that, because when you go with them, they have to give you all the same services that original Medicare does, but they have co-pays for everything. And this will be changing so that the copay that you pay when you're inpatient hospital or when you're in a skilled nursing facility or somewhere else, Advantage plans will not be able to charge more than original Medicare. Okay, this is for the Advantage plans, and you'll see they have HMOs, POS, local PPO, blah, blah, blah. Lots of acronyms and initials. Basically, this sets limits on the out-of-pocket costs that you were subject to each year. So the first year that Part D started, I was in Grand Rapids, their MAP coordinator, and about April, a woman came in to me just in tears. She hadn't understood Medicare Part D, and she didn't really want to take on a premium for the drug benefit, but she knew that she'd have a penalty if she didn't. So the nice Humana salesman offered her a plan that had a 0 premium, so she had no out-of-pocket costs, and it included her drugs. And if she went to the doctor, it was only a $15 copay. Well, how good is that?
Sign me up.
Well, the problem was that something happened, and I'm going to say she slipped on the ice and fell, broke her hip, went to the hospital, had surgery, ended up in skilled nursing for rehab, and when she came to my office, she had like $11,000 in bills, and she did not have the money. The salesman forgot to tell her about what happens with all these other things that might come up in your life. You know, it's more than the $15 copay at the doctor or whatever. So they now have limits for Advantage plans. Like this year, the mandatory top end, they can charge you out of pocket is listed up there. Most plans have the $6,700. There's one option there that can charge more. What that means is, if you have an Advantage plan and you get sick and you have all these co-pays, once you reach that number in the course of the year, they can't charge you any more co-pays for medical. You'll still have co-pays for your drugs, but there is a limit on how much you have to pay out of pocket for medical. So, seamless enrollment, this may not apply to many people. But sometimes we have people who have Medicaid and they turn 65 and they go to Medicare. If they were in a managed care plan that Medicaid requires, and I'm going to say Molina was their plan, if that plan had a Medicare Advantage plan, they just rolled them over. So the patient didn't really know or understand much. They were with Molina and they got coverage. There has been some problems with that practice, so CMS is putting a hold on that to evaluate that. I'm over time here, so I'm going to go through here real quick. This is some rules about applying tiers to your drug costs. This is for the providers. So there's some rules with exception process. So they're giving, okay. This is important. the Affordable Care Act basically set up a process where the donut hole or gap would be gone by 2020. So when you hear about Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, know that Medicare has a part in that it's paying for the donut hole to go away. When you start, if you didn't have a drug plan, when you start every year with your drugs, you have a 25% copay until you get to one level, and then it's another one, and then it's another one. By 2020, you would have the same copay for your drugs all year long. So that is really good news. So it's not entirely clear if they totally repeal Obamacare, whether we will go back to the beginning in 2006 when we had the big donut hole, because each year it's gotten smaller since 2010. This is about plans leaving if they have low enrollment. Okay, where is the thing I want? I'm the wrong way, that's my problem. This, new Medicare card. This is really important. I had a flyer that I hope you picked up. You're going to be hearing more about this. Basically, starting in April of 2018 through April of 2019, everyone on Medicare is going to get a new Medicare card. And your Social Security number is coming off, thankfully. They've talked about this for years, but it's such a big project to do it that they just kept stalling. So you will get a Medicare number that's auto-generated, so that the computer just gives you random numbers, and that will be your new Medicare number. It's mostly for security. There is going to be a year overlap in the back for providers that for billing Medicare, they can still bill on either one of your numbers, but after a year they have to be fully ready to accept those new numbers. One caveat I want to say is, even though your Medicare card number isn't going to be on there anymore, you still have to treat your Medicare card like a credit card. Because that new number, yeah, it doesn't give them your Social Security number, so they can't steal your identity, but it does give them your Medicare number, and they could, quote unquote, steal services. And then when you want something from Medicare, let's say, you need a walker or something, if somebody has your Medicare number, they may have already billed Medicare for a walker on your number, and Medicare is going to say you can't have it. So remember, your Medicare card is like a credit card, and you want to guard it. Okay, this is all the words about that. This is about spreading the word. So you have the flyer, you can look at it, make sure you tell all your friends. Hopefully all the MAP counselors will be telling everyone that comes in for Part D. This is a year-long process, because it's so big, they have to do it in phases. And the thing that surprised me, the first people they're changing their numbers are dead people. It's like, okay. I guess the theory is someone had Medicare services and they died, and the providers have a year to bill. So consequently, they had to give all those dead people new Medicare numbers. The next group that's going to get them are people new to Medicare. They'll just get them as they come in. And probably all of you who already have a Medicare number, it will be either by zip code or names, and they'll roll it out over the course of a year. So not everyone's going to get their number at the same time. Overdue. This is on your flyer. I don't think I'm going to do anything more with the slides. I want to tell you one sad story before I close. I mentioned we get federal funding, and the SHIP program, or MAP, is not allowed to do advocacy per se like the area agencies are. We can do education. So I'm doing a little education today, and I told you about the fact that we get $1.5 million every year to make this program work all across Michigan. And at this point, with a new budget that's supposed to get figured out by October 1, but it won't because we got a little continuing resolution that we've got 3 more months before they have to decide, we could go away totally. It was, the SHIP program was zeroed out in the Senate appropriations budget. We were for flat funding in the House budget. Then they did some horse trading of some sort. So now we're back in the Senate budget with flat funding, but now the House has us at 0. So if you have had MAP services, you love MAP services, I would really appreciate it if you'd let your congressperson know that this is a volunteer program. Last year we provided about at $24 an hour, which you really could not hire a social worker and pay benefits. But we don't pay our volunteers. So we provided $3 million in services, and they only gave us $1.5 million to run the program. So the money we save seniors goes back into the community. They shop at the grocery store, they go out to eat, whatever they do with that money that they save with MAP help. And I would really appreciate it if you have a minute, if you'd send an email, make a phone call, and let someone know how important this program is. I think I'm going to end because I'm over my time. I talked too long and there's so much to Medicare. But this afternoon, we're going to have a little panel, and so you have cards. And any questions you have that maybe you had before you came, not just about this PowerPoint, write those down so that we can make sure I can answer your questions later. And thank you so much for inviting me today. It's such a great honor to be here with all of you, and I look forward to spending time with you the rest of the day.
Thank you, Joe. We really appreciate your time today. And again, on your tables are the little white cards. Take the time. If you've got a question, write it down. We'll be addressing those questions later today in our panel. To drive home what Joe was talking about, I am going to ask Kathy Kimmel, the director of the Wexford COA, to give me an example of a savings that occurred in the last time that you conducted MAP.
Last open enrollment, Wexford County has 3 people that do full-time counseling during that 7-week period, and we kept track of the estimated savings for those folks. And myself, Kim, who's sitting here next to me, and Leo Pavelio, another trained and certified MAP counselor through our office, saved Wexford County beneficiaries, so this is just the folks in Wexford County that we met with, about $736,000. $736,000 that stayed back in our community to be spent locally. And that's only one county. Thank you.
One person. Tell me about one person.
One person, an example of the importance for having your drug plan reviewed. A lot of times, the most expensive medications that people deal with are insulin. Another is inhalers. It's very important to make sure that those are still going to be on your plan's formulary every year. The biggest example would be an insulin related where someone's insulin was being removed from the formulary come the 1st of January. Had they not changed their plan, their out-of-pocket expenses would have been about $600 a month just for that one medication. It's very important to spend the time and do the due diligence to have your plans reviewed. Thanks, Margot.
Thank you, Kathy. I just wanted to drive home the power of this program because it is so important. And there was so much information up here, it was difficult to sometimes really understand the power that you have by making the effort to take the time. So see your MAP counselor. God willing, the program will stay intact, and remember the story so that you do make sure that this program stays alive. I have some great news. During Joe's talk, I was asked to cancel lunch.
All right.
Because we're running a little off, okay?
It's okay with me.
And I couldn't believe it. So I said, no, these people want lunch. So I traded. So we're not going to take a break because we are running a little bit behind, but you are welcome at any time to get up and have, some treats. There's coffee. Make yourself at home. Tinkle. What to do, okay? I mean, I don't have to tell you everything, but, do what you got to do, but do it while our speakers are here so that we can continue the program and have lunch. I did my best. I fought for you. Okay? That's how much I care. So, our next speaker is going to be really fun. I think he's going to be fun. Okay, he is. If everybody got their agenda? You all got your pens? Okay, I want you to get your pens out and your agenda because we uncovered someone who apparently is in a witness protection program who is in this room, and we were going to be dubbed, we were going to be tricked, we were going to be fooled. Dale, his real name is Scott, okay? We figured this out. That mystery has been solved, and I want you all to change your agendas right now because Scott is here. Dale was a fake name made up to try to throw us off, and we uncovered that mystery. So at this time, I would like to welcome Scott. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you. My name is Scott Soper. I'm a detective here with the Manistee County Sheriff's Office. And I'm here to talk to you today about scams and elder abuse. So with the scams that we see, very common. We get a lot of calls at our office, people coming in to file complaints where the Publishers Clearinghouse or the sweepstakes scams, those are the biggest ones where you fill out the paperwork and you send it in to you get the mailer in the mail or a phone call. So then you send the stuff back into them and you start the correspondence back and forth with the people. And these people are unknown, they're usually overseas. Some of them are in the United States, but most of them are overseas. And you start conversing back and forth with them, sending paperwork, information about yourself on the premise that you're gonna get millions of dollars, cars, TVs, whatever it may be. So once they get you sucked in and talking about what you're going to win, they'll ask you, I'm going to send you a check for $2,000. And you'll get the check in the mail. The check looks real. They really do. You'll go to the bank, you cash it, the bank will give you the money. And you call the person back and say, hey, I got the $2,000 in my account. Then they'll turn around and they'll say, great, send me $500 of it, because that's the processing fee for your money, for your car. So you'll send the $500 to them, and they want it by Western Union, or a prepaid credit card, somewhere along those lines. Once you send it to them, you won't hear from them for a while, but you hear from the bank. And the bank will tell you, the check that you cashed last week, it was a fake check. So we had to deduct that money from your savings account, or your checking account. So then you're out the money. In this instance, you still may have $1,000 to get back to the bank to put back in your account, but you did send them $500. They will keep calling you and keep bugging you, and they have a network of scumbags that will keep calling, keep bugging about a million other scams that they have. So the Publishers Clearinghouse or the sweepstakes scams are the biggest ones. The next one that we see a lot of is the IRS tax scam. And what these people do is they prey on you so you don't want a loved one to go to jail, you don't want to go to jail, you don't want to be in trouble. Okay? So what they'll tell you is, this is the IRS, you didn't pay your taxes. If you don't pay us $1,000 today, we're going to send the local police department to come arrest you. Who wouldn't be scared, right? Everybody would be. Nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody wants a loved one to go to jail. So what they do is they pressure you and they keep hounding you to send that money so you don't go to jail. Say the local police department will come arrest you. We've even had it where they've looked at our website here in Manistee County and told the people, Detective Soper is going to come arrest you if you don't pay us today. So we get the phone call, and I'm like, absolutely not. That's not the way IRS does business. It's not the way we do business. But people will send the money. And the common theme of all these scams is Western Union, prepaid cards, PayPal cards, whatever it may be. So they want you to send money to a medium that's not very well tracked. And the other part of that is they do, there's a jail scam out there where they will call you and they'll be like, Grandma, you got arrested, I'm in trouble. So everybody's on alert thinking, oh my gosh, who's this? My grandson. It's little Johnny. So they say, Johnny, are you okay? So you give the bad guy the name, right? So they say, yeah, Grandma, this is Johnny. I got arrested or I was in an accident. And I'm currently in trouble and I'm in court and I need money sent to me to get me out of my fines and costs and trouble or get out of jail. Sometimes they even make it real elaborate. They say, I went to court already because I was involved in this accident and I ran into the back of a police car. Okay, let's raise it up a little bit more to make them more nervous, right? The officer was hurt, but hey, it's all okay. I'm at court right now, and if I pay my $500 fine, I don't have to go to jail. Here's my attorney. And they hand the phone to the attorney. And the attorney gets on the phone. Yeah, I'm Johnny's attorney, and everything's gonna be taken care of, but we need to get that money right away to us. And they confirm the story, right? So everybody believes it. Then you send the money by Western Union to wherever they say to send it to, and they got the money and you're out. And with all these scams, what they do is they're just preying on your vulnerability at the time, not knowing what happened, and preying on a loved one. Okay? So the best thing to do to curb these scams
Yep.
is just take a step back for a minute, confer with a family member. If they're calling about little Johnny, call him up. Call your daughter up, call your son up. Say, hey, are you okay? Is little Johnny okay? I just got a call from him. Okay? My grandma got that scam. She called my aunt. They got a hold of my cousin. He was fine, he was at work. Okay? She almost fell for it. Okay? It happens. So, yes, ma'am. Okay, so the question was, do we get the phone numbers or addresses of the people to provide to the police? You can get that, yes. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. What they do is on the internet, they can actually go to websites and they can get spoof numbers. Okay, so they'll call from their phone, they link it through their computer, and the next thing you know, they're calling from a local number. Like here in Manistee, it's a 231-723 number or 3998 number. The number looks legit, so you think it's your local number. But they're really calling from Jamaica, Africa, a lot of different places where we see these scams starting to originate from. Okay? But the biggest thing is you want to talk to your family and make sure and confer with your family on these issues. And even with the sweepstakes scams, you know, the biggest thing is if it looks too good to be true, it's probably not true. Because if you win something, you win it. You know, they're not going to say, hey, send me $500 to get your $1 million. It just doesn't happen that way. I mean, if you legitimately win something, they'll send you the money or they'll show up on your door and say, hey, congratulations, here's your $2 million for life every week, or whatever it may be, okay? But you know, people win those things, but it's very few and far between. And they prey on people that need the money, people that want to do good for their community, and different things like that, okay? So that's the biggest way that you can help protect yourself. The common things between all these scams, a lot of these people are foreign speaking, and they have a heavy accent. So they're hard to understand. They will keep calling you over and over and over again. Okay? So if you get a foreign speaking person calling you, most likely it could be a scam, especially if they're asking for you to send them money or to send things Western Union. And the biggest flag, as far as all these scams, is sending the money out to get something. And a lot of them want to do it Western Union. So they'll say, go to your Western Union place and send it to Bill Smith. And it may be Bill Smith in California. okay? Because what they do is that they're working over Bill Smith in California already, and they're saying you're going to get money in the mail, Bill, and that's from us. That's the installment plan. You know, that's part of your winnings. So then Bill ends up getting the money from you. That's $500 to $1,000. Then they start working Bill, and they say, hey, you got that $1,500 in the mail. You need to send us $500 of it, and we'll get that rest of it out to you. So they wash themselves and clean themselves in a huge network of people. It makes it very hard to track. And it goes back to the question of, do we get the addresses and phone numbers? It makes it very hard to find and track. I worked a case with the FBI a couple years ago, and there was places in the U.S., places here in Manistee, where people were getting money, sending money out, and doing stuff, and we could not track where it went. It went back overseas that we knew, but you can't track it from there. And we don't have jurisdiction overseas. The FBI even doesn't have jurisdiction on certain things. So the cases are very hard to solve. It's nearly impossible to get your money back. So it's just, the biggest thing is to be aware of the scams that are out there. And like I said, the biggest things are, you don't send money to get money. In Western Union, prepaid credit cards, all those things are the big scams that are the red flags. They should come up right away when you hear those things, okay? And with the prepaid credit cards, how they do that is like PayPal cards. Everybody see PayPal cards? You know what they are? What they are is, it's like a credit card type thing where you buy $500 in a PayPal card. And it has a code on the back. You scratch off the little Mylar finish on the back, and it exposes a number. That number can't be activated unless you have the number from the receipt. Okay? It's a kind of a checks and balances type thing. So what they will tell you, copy the back of the card with the number scratched off, and send me a copy of your receipt. Okay? You see where this goes right away, right? So you send it over to them, a copy of it on a piece of paper. They have the account, they have the $500. And they can deposit it anywhere they want at that point, because you gave them everything they need to know to get that $500. All right? And that's also done locally, like people selling stuff on Craigslist. I've handled those cases where people have done the same thing. You say, oh yeah, you gotta pay your deposit. Go get 3 PayPal cards for $1,500 total. Scratch the backs off, send me the receipt, and then I'll meet with you and I'll give you the card. As soon as you send it, it's done. I've written search warrants to PayPal to try to get those informations because it has to be deposited in an account. Seemed like it'd be easy to track, right? They didn't give me any information back. Can't track it. I don't know how that works in this day and age with computers and everything, but they weren't able to give me anything. So I wasn't able to help that person out. Okay? Like I said before, most of the money is sent overseas. Some people in the States that are unwitting people, the same as the person that sends the money. They don't know what's going on either. So it'll go from here to California to Nebraska, North Dakota, back down to Florida, and then it may go overseas at that point. So it's just a huge network that they scam on. Another scam that they do too, as far as that, is on your computers. Okay, so if you're surfing the net and you're looking at websites, some inappropriate websites, we've had people come in with, others just on Facebook, and the ads on the side of Facebook, if your cursor goes over and you click on one, sometimes it'll do it too. It'll lock up your computer, give you a screen, and say, hey, you're looking at inappropriate stuff. Unless you want your family or whoever to know, you need to send us $500. And it locks up your computer. Okay? So a lot of people call the number and they pay the $500. They want people to know what they're doing, or shouldn't be doing. So it's another way that they're scamming people and getting money out of that too. My mom was on Facebook. She hit the side thing, locked her computer up, says, hey, you got a virus, call Microsoft right away so you can get your computer fixed. So she calls right away. Calls Microsoft, calls the 800 number on the little thing. They say, yeah, we can fix it. You just need to remote into your computer. We'll download a program, we'll clean it up for you. So she fell for it. She did the whole thing. Then she calls me. Scott, I think I did something wrong. Yeah, you did. So you need to call your credit card company to cancel it right away. So she canceled the credit card right away. She unhooked her computer from the system and took it in and had it checked. And they found a program that they put on there where they were trying to retrieve her bank accounts that she does for online banking. Okay, so you see how bad that could have been, right? So the biggest thing is, don't fall for those things right away. Step back, reflect for a moment, take a look at it, and deal with it later, okay? And for law enforcement community, if you think you have something, I have people bring in those fake checks all the time. Say, hey, can you take a look at this fake check? Tell me what you think about it. I say, yeah, it really looks real, but it's not. And just hold on to it for a while and see if they call back. Maybe it is real, I don't know. We'll find out. And a lot of people just hold on to them, and then they'll call me back a couple weeks later and say, hey, it was a scam. Or they'll take it to the bank and they'll cash it and they'll just sit on it. And then when the bank calls, say, yeah, that was fake, you just give the money back. Because you're responsible for it, okay? So what can you do to protect yourself? Don't send money to get money. If you win something, you win it. Don't send money overseas for any reason whatsoever. And a lot of these places are overseas. If they're calling you and they're bugging you non-stop, a lot of cell phones, you can block the number they're calling from. That'll work for a little bit, but they'll just change it to a different number and they'll keep calling you. If you have an answer machine at the house, unhook it. Because if they call, and it just rings and rings and rings and rings and they can't get a hold of you, eventually they're going to move on to somebody else. Okay? I was talking to him about my mom's computer thing. That was 9 months ago. She called me last week, said, I have gotten calls every 10 minutes from these people all day for the last 3 days. It's on an auto ring from their computer system and it just calls and calls and calls. I told her to unplug the phone. Don't answer it. If someone wants to call you, they'll call you on the cell phone. So she did that and they eventually quit calling. And that was 9 months ago. So they're trying to get back at her again to try to get something else. Yeah. The question was, if they call you and they say, do you hear me? And you say, yes, I hear you, or yes. They record the voice and it might agree to whatever they're trying to push. If it's phone service, that was a while ago, they used to do that where you say yes, and then all of a sudden they charge you $100 a minute on your phone. So there's a lot of different varieties of these scams out there. Just gotta kind of be aware of them, and you can go online and you can look for them, and they'll be able to tell you. Biggest thing is to talk with your family and friends about it, get their opinion on something, call your local police department, or go in. Like I said, bring the check in or call and say, hey, I got this call from the IRS, said your agency's gonna come arrest me, I don't pay $1,500, is that true?
No.
They're gonna tell you no, that's not the way we do business. IRS doesn't do business that way. They'll send you a notification in the mail, they'll talk to your tax accountant, whoever it may be.
The whole IRS thing, I did get a call, and they said that if I didn't pay, that I would have a warrant, so they had scares happening. But I called the IRS and they say, we don't call you, we send you letters, so please remember that.
Is everybody able to hear that?
No.
She said she got a call from the IRS, said if she didn't pay, they're gonna put a warrant out for her arrest. Okay? So she called the IRS. The IRS said, that's not the way we do business, we don't do that. If we have to correspond with you, we send you written correspondence. And usually that's right to you or your accountant or whoever it may be that's a designated person on the filing at that time. So as far as the warrants and being arrested, that doesn't happen, okay? That's a scam.
The other day I got a call from law enforcement. Asking for donations.
Was it a POLC or FOP or do you know who it was from?
The law enforcement, just got a technical claim from the law enforcement.
Right. Question was, law enforcement agencies are soliciting money. My agency does not solicit money. My agency does a fundraiser where we put on a country western concert once a year around the 4th of July time that we sell tickets for. And that's easy enough to confirm. You can call the department or whatever it may be. The National Sheriff Association calls you and says, hey, do you want to be a member of the National Sheriff Association and donate money to be a member? I would rather say donate to your local police department if you feel like you have to donate. The national one, I don't know if they're legitimate or not. I know there's legitimate National Sheriff Association people. I know that. But I don't know how they solicit it. And frankly, our local agency would never see any of that money. So if you feel like you have to donate, just try to donate locally, no matter what it is, whatever the cause may be. It'll call, the no-call list will help for legitimate companies, yes. The scammers and the people out there that do these things, they don't care. They will call you because they get your information, either they steal it online or they just fish for things, you know, and they'll call you. They will not help. They will not help. Yes, ma'am?
My husband's been getting a lot of calls from a guy, and they finally they left a message on his smartphone, and he took it down to the police department in Delaware, Michigan, and so that gave them the police department the idea of what went on, you know, for the local youth. And so the sheriff's department wrote a warning to surrounding area residents about the scam. And we legally called from the FBI. So he said, well, Ward, thank you for your number. I'm the FBI. So I thought I was joking, but I didn't let him know that we're not going to give in to their stupidity.
Right. The question was, you know, that she's getting calls from the FBI, her husband is, and it's not really the FBI. They went to the local police department, saw that it's a scam, they put out an alert to everybody. And we do that. We try to do public service analysis. We try to get with the news media, the newspaper, and try to get these scams out there. But the thing is, there's such a wide variety of them that they all change a little bit. And that's why I'm trying to tell you that the main points that you watch for are sending the money overseas, the foreign speaking. You know, if you win something, you really get something. You don't have to pay to get money. You're paid to get your winnings, okay? And that's kind of the main theme amongst all these scams that they try to get you to do. Yes, ma'am. Yep. What she said was she got an email from a family member that looked like his email and said, hey, I'm overseas and I have a family member overseas that's sick and I need you to send money so we can give aid to the person. That's a very common scam too. So the bottom line, like I said before, is you don't send money where? Overseas, right? So if they ask you to send money overseas, you don't do it. So it's a scam, okay? Okay, so I'm going to cover, that's good for scams for now. And I'll be here for a little while, so if you have any other questions, you can ask me a few questions. You can talk to me about a couple things. Yes, sir?
I got something from Microsoft or something. And actually, my computer locked up on me. And I called somebody, I don't know where, and they said, turn it off. Now, don't unplug it, because that won't do it. You got to turn it off for 2 minutes. And I did that, and well, my computer's running again.
Okay. He's talking about the scam that my mom got, right?
Could be.
Where it locked up the computer, and he called somebody and they said, just do a hard reset. Anybody know what a hard reset is? Maybe not. Okay, so what a hard reset is, you hold the power button down. Okay, you just hold it down for an extended period of time, and eventually your computer will just shut off instantly.
Yeah,
And that's
2
a
minutes.
hard reset.
2 minutes.
And then it should possibly work after that. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to get the computer person to get it looked at. So what she said is, she talked with her grandsons going to college, and as they grow up, it's hard to recognize the voice. So as far as the scam goes, where they call and say, Grandma, I've been arrested, they developed a password between her and her grandson, so that she can confirm who he is. So, Jimmy, what's your password? I love you, Grandma. Okay? So that would be their password, and the person wouldn't know those things. So I just want to cruise over a couple of elder abuse things real quick. I know I'm getting close. So with elder abuse, it's very hard crime to report to police if you're a victim. We know that because you don't want your loved one to get or someone that's taking care of you, your son, your daughter, whoever it may be. But it's very important, if you are being abused, to let somebody know. And if the person is living with you and is your caregiver, and you can't get away from that person, make a phone call. There's mandatory reporters in Michigan for abuse. So if you go to the doctor, when you go into the doctor and you talk to the doctor, and your caregiver's not in there, tell the doctor. Let the doctor know what's going on. The doctor is a mandatory reporter. He will fill out the form and you will know. Same with the caregiver. If you have an in-home healthcare nurse and you're being abused by someone that's in your home, let the in-home healthcare nurse know, and they're mandatory reporters. They will fill out the form, they'll send it to the state, and we will know. Okay? It's very important that you let somebody know. And the types of elder abuse are physical abuse, sexual abuse. Those are some things that go on. The other thing that's very common is prescription pills. Okay? So prescription pills. Your family members know that you're on certain pills, your grandkids know you're on certain pills. They'll come over, they'll see you, and they know where you keep them. Maybe in your bathroom cabinet, bedroom cabinet, drawer, wherever it may be, and they know that. They will come and they'll take your pills if they have an issue or they're addicted to pills. You might not know who did it, but you should call and let somebody know. Okay? Call the police and say, my pills were stolen. I'm supposed to have 50, I have 20. And I just got them filled. Let us know, because then we can determine who's been at your house the last few days. We can look and see who the person is that's stealing your stuff and might have a problem. And you might not know that your grandson has a problem, or granddaughter, or whoever it may be, but we do, maybe. Because we might have dealt with them before, and we would know possibly who it was. So it's very important with your pills, if you have them, lock them up, especially if you have any of the hydrocodones, morphine, oxycodone, any of those types of pills, the opiates that are being highly abused in our communities. Lock them up. Get a little lockbox, put it somewhere where no one knows where it is, only you. And that way, if the family member comes over, they're not going to know where it is, or if you have your furnace worked on, or your TV worked on, anything like that, it's just not in the kitchen or the bathroom cabinet where a person says, I can use your bathroom for a minute, goes in there and takes them out of the cabinet. Okay? Because it happens. Okay? So just make sure you lock them up. Yes?
Get a lockbox for like $10.
Yeah, lockboxes are very cheap, but it's a great way to lock them up. But the biggest thing is, if you get a lockbox, I've seen it too, you get a lockbox and they set it on the kitchen counter. Not a good spot. Okay? They'll just take the lockbox. Okay? So putting in a lockbox is a good step, but you gotta kind of put it somewhere too, either hide it in the closet, under a couple t-shirts, or somewhere out of sight. Okay? Because if they come and they're working on your TV or have to use the bathroom or whatever it may be, they're not going to be, going all over your bedroom looking for the stuff, taking a chance of you coming in and seeing them going through your belongings. Okay? Yes, ma'am. That would work. She said, take your old pill bottles and fill them with Tic Tacs. That would work.
Yeah.
You can leave those on the counter all day long. And hide your legitimate ones. Okay. So she said questions, we put them on the cards there and we'll address them this afternoon, okay? So I go back on to some of the elder abuse stuff here. Some of the other elder abuse is financial exploitation of our elderly folks. So what they will do is they'll come in and ask you for money, borrow money, you loan me money. if you have an in-home healthcare nurse, they might do a service for you and then say, that's $20. We all know that in-home healthcare nurse is paid for by Medicaid, Medicare, your insurance, whoever it may be. They're paid for their services. They shouldn't be giving you more extra money for doing your dishes or whatever it may be, okay? Or they'll ask you for money. They'll try to loan, can you borrow me some money? I need some money. And a lot of them are in your home for an extended period of time, or they're with you for an extended period of time, and you think of them as family. You want to help those people out. Highly caution you not to do that, okay? Because they could just keep asking for more and more and more, and then they can see where maybe you keep your checkbook or your cash when you go to get it, and they'll start stealing it from you, okay? I'm not saying all people are bad. I'm just highly skeptic for what I've seen in my 22 years of law enforcement. I suspect everybody. It's probably not a good thing, okay? So just be careful with who you're talking to and who you're dealing with, okay? Because the financial exploitation can become thousands and thousands of dollars. If you're a retiree and you have a lot of money, you made a lot of money in your life, they could be gradually taking that stuff away. And that goes with, like you have a payee that pays your bills for you. Okay? A lot of people can't keep track of their bills, so they have a payee that pays for them. A lot of payees are appointed by the court. They're good people. Some people just have payees pay for them that are friends. Those are the ones you gotta worry about. Not necessarily, even the ones from the court you gotta watch too. But if you see a bill that's funny, you have to watch and pay attention to it. So if you see a bill at Auto Value for $100 and you don't own a car, red flag, right? So you want to look at that and say, hey, what's this $100 bill for? Why'd you write $100 Auto Value? And they might say, well, you needed light bulbs and they had them on sale there. Maybe it is legitimate. Maybe they did have a light bulb sale. But at least you're questioning them and you know, you're putting them on notice that you're watching your finances so they're not buying things for themselves, because that's usually what happens, okay? So if you have any suspicious activity on your accounts or anything like that, and you suspect somebody doing those things, call your law enforcement agency and let them know. And we can look into those financial records and you can provide those records to us, and we can look at them and see if there is something. We'll talk to them about it. And on another note, beyond the elder abuse, in Manistee County here we have a system that's called Care Tracker. Anybody hear about it? Know what it is? What it is, it's a system. It's about the size of your watch, and it has a RF frequency that sends out a transmitted frequency that's mounted on a person that either has Alzheimer's or dementia and is prone to walking away or getting lost, losing their bearings where they're at. So the old days, for us, if a dementia person walked away, we'd have to get the skirmish line and get 150 firemen out there, and we'd walk the woods, walk a field, looking for the person, okay? And if the person's been missing for 4 or 5 hours, you walk a long way, 4 or 5 hours. So it's kind of a needle in a haystack to start. What the Care Tracker does is it sends that RF frequency out. And we have an antenna we can put on top of our patrol car, and if we get within 5 mile radius, they'll go off. It starts giving us a beep. What it does. Then once we narrow it down, and we know we're in that area, we have a handheld one that we can carry. It has a big antenna on it, and we point it in the direction. And once we get the signal in that direction, we walk toward it, and we can walk right to where the person's at. Saves a lot of time, especially in the middle of winter, bad weather, we can have hypothermia and a lot of other things going on. It makes a big difference. So we have Care Tracker available here in Manistee County. I don't know how many people are here from Manistee County. We have that available. It's a real basic setup, nominal fee, just replacing the batteries once a month to make sure that they're fully charged and ready to go in case of emergency. Small price to pay for making sure your loved one's taken care of. And I'm sure other counties that are here, your local department may have the same thing. Because we got ours through a grant 5 ago, I think it was, and they're pushing them for this. So other counties may have it also. So call your local department and see if they have the Care Tracker, that's what it's called, Care Tracker. Lifesaver? Okay. So Antrim County has a Lifesaver.
Write your questions down, so we're just.
I was just gonna say, we will not drive traffic have it all.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, just write your questions down, because I know it's time for lunch, so I want to make sure that we're wrapping.
And I'm done. I'm all set.
Detective Sergeant Scott Soper, thank you so much. I had asked him to be here for the panel, so please write your questions down. There were plenty, and they were good ones, so write them down. Hopefully he'll stick around, join us for lunch. He's got some good information for us. But the lunch that I managed to save for all of you is now being served. How about that? So
All right.
please make yourselves at home, enjoy your lunch, and plan on an action-packed afternoon. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm really glad that everybody's eating lunch because it would have been hard to play without any lunch here today. I just got a request, and I want to tell you how we're going to handle requests. If you have a request, please write it down on the thin border of a $20 bill, and then hand it in to Margot, and then we're going to have a raffle later. And does this sound like a scam to anybody? Okay, it is. Okay, I got a request for, can you play Last Kiss? I can do the Last Kiss, but I can't play the Last Kiss because I do not know it, but I'm hoping I can play something else that, how about the Last Date instead of the Last Kiss? Okay, I'm gonna try to play that.